Saturday, October 7, 2017. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and this is my 1983 Mercedes 240 Diesel. I know it's been a long time since I've done a video for my regular viewers. Sorry about that, but I am back now, and here to talk to you about the 240D. Now, when I got the car on the road 2 years ago, I had worked on pretty much everything on the car, but I sort of took a chance on the front suspension. My reasoning at the time was that the car had gone, 275,000 miles, and I figured that the front suspension probably had, enough attention to keep it on the road. So all I really did up front were the tie rods and the shocks. But when I got the car on the road, it had sort of a vague, almost wandering feel, and I'm used to a 123 actually feeling really more straight as an arrow and certain on the road. So, and I also had a bit of a very slight clunk, and I didn't really do anything about it. I mean, I've been busy, and as you might have guessed, I've been too busy even to do videos. I've been maintaining and repairing the cars as need be, but there really hasn't been a lot of new material to cover. So I'm going to try to diagnose this today. Now, in the past, I have had in order to diagnose a suspension problem, I usually get the wheels off the ground and wiggle around the wheel, and typically you can figure out if there's any movement, where it's coming from. You can see if a ball joint is worn out, and that's the source of the movement, or a control arm bushing. But in this case, I believe what I actually need to do is not just raise up the wheels, but I actually have to get a jack under these front control arms and relieve the tension from the suspension springs. And I think it's my understanding that if I do that, that's when I'll be able to see the movement. So that's what I'm going to do today. So if you give me a minute here, I'm going to get the car off the ground onto some jack stands, and I will show you what to look for. Okay, so like I said, what I normally do is I get the car's wheels off the ground, and then I start wiggling the wheel itself. And usually if there is something that is loose or worn out, that's the part that's going to cause motion. So what I do is I grab the wheel. First I rock it left and right to see if there's any play there, and usually that'll tell you if there's something wrong with the steering, like the tie rods. And then you also grab it at 12 and 6, and you wiggle it, and usually that'll tell you if there's a wheel bearing problem. And anything else will kind of show up sometimes as more vague motion, depending on the suspension design. So you're probably not going to be able to see much from that angle, but just take my word here. I'm on the driver's side. No left to right play, no up and down play at all. So now I'm going to try the passenger side. Once again, no left and right. I've got the tiniest bit of up and down. That's probably more likely due to a wheel bearing that needs to be tightened up just a hair, but that probably isn't the cause of my problem here. So now let me show you what to do with the jack. Okay, so I have a jack under the control arm. See if I can maybe show you this a little better. There's the control arm and a jack with a piece of wood. So the jack is helping release some of the spring tension. And now what I do is I go underneath the wheel here with this long metal pipe. And I'm not sure how much you can see on the video there, but I've definitely got quite a bit of movement in that ball joint. So, and possibly the source of the clunk, although I'm not getting a lot of metal-to-metal sound there. So really, I think these ball joints are at least part of the problem. Yeah, I'm really not sure how much you can see in the video here. Let me see if I can hold the camera a little better. Kind of right behind the wood block there is where the ball joint is. Maybe I can even zoom in a bit, but I'm trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time, so yeah, you should be able to see the motion there. I believe that ball joint is worn out. So that's basically how you check for that. And
I'm also just going to wiggle around and see if maybe I see any issue in any of the other bushings, but this is basically how you have to test the front suspension on these cars. You need to release the spring tension. So this is more of a general how do you diagnose a front suspension problem in a Mercedes 123. So this is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching, and good luck diagnosing it if you have a suspension problem.